Coming up on Network Africa. Nigeria confirms its first case of coronavirus in Lagos State. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa orders the repatriation of South Africans living in China's Wuhan city. Plus, Guinea prepares for referendum on its constitution. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Teniola Shobowale. We begin our coverage of the coronavirus outbreak here in Nigeria, where the Federal Ministry of Health has confirmed the first case in Lagos State. The victim is an Italian who arrived in Nigeria through the Lagos airport on Tuesday from Milan. He is currently being managed at the Infectious Diseases Hospital in Yaba, Lagos. He was tested positive by the virology laboratory of the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, part of the lab network of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control. The Federal Ministry of Health and the Lagos State Ministry of Health says the patient, whose name has not been made public, is clinically stable and with no serious symptoms. The federal government also said in a statement that the Ministry of Health has activated its national emergency operations centers and will work closely with the Lagos State health authorities to respond to the first case and contain its spread. Meanwhile, the Minister of Health has been speaking on how the virus found its way into the country and the efforts being put in place to contain its spread. Dr. Osage Ehanire explains that the victim did not exhibit any symptom of the virus as at the time of entry into the country. He explains that emergency operations have been activated immediately in all the 4 international airports in the country. He was speaking at a press conference in the nation's capital, Abuja.
Symptoms may not manifest within the first several days. So a person who gets infected may not show any signs at all within the first few days, like 3 or 4 or 5 days. And then the symptoms begin. So if that person has traveled within that window, he can get through anywhere and not be noticed. So the gentleman who came here apparently may have gotten infected at a point, but walked through the scene, the screening, with no symptoms. And by the time he got to his house, I think a day or 2 after, he started to feel unwell. And wisely enough, he went to a hospital. And there, the doctors examined him, and I believe they found that malaria was negative, and they knew the travel history, and immediately referred him to for a test in Lagos at the Luth testing center. And there it was discovered that he was positive for coronavirus and immediately put under isolation. In fact, he had been put on isolation from the referral hospital in a special ambulance where the driver himself had been kitted. So there was pre-thinking on the side of the hospital side of the driver to transport him under those very specialized conditions to the infectious disease hospital in Lagos.
Well, the Lagos state government has also been speaking on efforts to contain the spread of the coronavirus with a promise that the situation is currently under control while efforts are already ongoing to close in on the places the quarantine victim visited. This is coming from Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who is assuring residents that health officials are already on high alert to fight the global scourge. He spoke at a press briefing in Lagos where he also gave more details about the index case.
At about 10 p.m., I received a call from my colleague, the Honorable Commissioner, and were triggered all our various levels of biosecurity and containment. We're up till early hours of this morning contacting both the federal authority, including Mr. President, and everybody that needs to be aware, including the facility that this patient had contact with, the chairman of the company and everybody in the company. They've been very supportive. They had proactively also curtailed their own staff. So, like the commissioner said, we had gone out. Our people are out there now trying to track every of suspected interaction that this patient might have had contact with, and we're ready. Our facility has been fortified to continue, if need be, of any form of test and containment, if need be. For us here in Lagos, everything that needs to be done, we're doing, and we'll continue to have dialogue, and support, if required, from the Federal Ministry of Health. But we're assured that, like the professionals have said, that this patient is stable, and every health intervention that is required is currently being given. And we can say that we're ready, and we're just hoping that we can very quickly put this behind us.
He spent the night in a hotel near the airport, and on Tuesday morning, he moved on to his business in Ogun State, where he's engaged by a corporate entity. He carried out business in Ogun State within the confines of that company on Tuesday and on early part of Wednesday. In that company, he spent the night in their accommodation, which is a confined environment, guest house. By the afternoon, he started to develop symptoms of high fever and body pains. He presented to the company medical facility where the investigation began. Because he gave a history of his origin from Italy, where we know there is a young outbreak happening, it was very astute of the medical practitioners in that facility to keep him overnight in an isolated environment. He was brought to our high containment facility in Yaba on Thursday morning. Immediately he arrived, he was put into strict isolation, and the appropriate tests were ordered. Within hours, we received the signal that the test in the laboratory was showing signs of positivity. In Lagos, we have been building capacity steadily. We've fortified support at the airport. At our infectious disease facility, we have ramped up our capacity to isolate suspected cases. We are now sitting on about an 80-bed isolation facility. We are continuing to build more capacity should in case we have an increased number of cases in Lagos.